Well, I'm Scott Taransky, and I want to welcome you to another live chat with the National Center for Biblical Parenting. In particular, I want to share with you about the blog post we just made on Thriving Kids Connection about an attitude in a child's life. So an attitude is really important. Sometimes parents will excuse a bad attitude by saying, "Oh, he's only 2, or he's a boy, or he's a teenager," and so attitudes then get excused. But really, they're an opportunity. If we could realize that the attitude is a window into a child's heart, then we would know that we've got something we can deal with and work on. We have to know a little bit more about what that looks like. So understanding this idea of attitude is important, and in just the next few minutes, I'm going to take that attitude apart for you. I'm going to show you what that looks like from a heart-based approach, and I'm going to give you solutions that you can implement in your life as you work with your children. So I want to talk about attitudes here. Let's first define attitudes this way. Attitudes are a prepackaged response to a trigger of some kind. That prepackaged response is already there. It's waiting for some trigger. Like you might say bath to a 3-year-old or math to a 12-year-old, and they've already got that prepackaged response, and so they're reacting in a way that is unproductive. It's already prepackaged, and the trigger is important. Identify that trigger, because when you get to know the triggers, maybe the trigger is you give an instruction that the child doesn't want to do, or the trigger's correction. When you've got a trigger, then you know you're in this arena in the heart, and you can then do some strategy. You can do some plans that will help you address this attitude on a deeper level. So in my blog post at Thriving Kids Connection, I give you some ideas about this. We just posted this blog post, and we take apart attitudes this way. We say there are 3 components to an attitude. The first component is the one that is behavior. Behavior is like the flag that says, "Oh, I need to deal with this. Oh, we have a problem here." Now, you might not deal with it immediately because of the other 2 components in the heart. So I don't want you to feel like every time you see an attitude, you have to immediately respond. Sometimes when you see it, you just need to log it away and say, "Wow, this is something I'm going to have to work on." And you're more strategic in approaching it. But behavior is important. The slouching, the poor eye contact, I call it the hairy eyeball look, the stomping away, all of those are signs of an attitude. They're behavior. That's one component of an attitude. The second component of an attitude goes deeper, and now we're into the heart, and that contains emotion. And sometimes the emotion is embarrassment, sometimes it is pride, sometimes it's anger or frustration, sometimes, and that's often what parents see is anger, frustration, but sometimes it's disappointment. I didn't get what I wanted when I asked my mom to do something for me, or she's asking me to do something I don't want to do. So emotion is a key component of attitude, and you want to keep that in mind, because as you're trying to work on emotions, if you only deal with on attitude, if you only deal with the behavior, then you're missing the deeper part. So we must keep in mind this factor that emotions must be addressed as well. That's why sometimes when we're working with a child and we see the attitude, we say, "Okay, stop here, don't take out the trash. You need to just go sit on the steps, settle your heart down, come back and see me when we're ready." And sometimes, in that case, you will see even more emotion. Just reminds you or shows you that you're in the right place. We've got an emotional challenge here, and this child's trigger is triggering their emotions and producing this bad attitude. We've got to deal with the attitude, and that means going a little deeper into the emotion as well. Let's talk also about another component, which is the thinking errors. And this is really at the heart of all bad attitudes, whether in parents or in children. Bad attitudes, right at their heart, have to do with thinking errors in the lives of kids. When I say thinking errors, I'm saying children believe strange things. We know God says beliefs exist in the heart of a person. And when children believe strange things about life, they end up having reactions to them that often are bad attitudes. Here's an example of some thinking errors. One is a child may believe that chores are mom's work, and you're trying to give me your work. Or that some children believe that I have the right to get to the next level of the video game before I respond to you or pay attention to you. Or children believe that if my brother is annoying, I have the right to punch him. So the challenge here is really trying to help parents to understand that there are beliefs behind these attitudes. That's why it's so important to address them. And that's why a heart-based approach is so much more powerful than behavior modification. See, if you're using behavior modification, you're saying to a child, just dealing with behavior on the outward, reward and punishment, then sometimes you're just content to allow the child to do what you told them to do, and if they do it, then they can be free to go. That's a reward. They're free to go, free to play, free to do whatever. And what we're saying is there's much more involved here. Those attitudes are the result of some kind of thinking error inside of the child. Sometimes we don't even know what that is. But the point is we're trying to get to that underlying thinking error, and often it's not a lecture that's going to bring about the change in thinking inside of a child, the change in beliefs. Often it's experience that helps children change. So it's very important for us as we're working on a heart-based approach to recognize that what those beliefs are, at least hypothesize about them, to have discussions, meaningful conversations with children is great, to do that, because sometimes those meaningful conversations result in some greater understanding for the child, not just the parent, for the child about what's going on inside. But then let's practice doing the right thing. Remember, when I give you a task to do, your response should be to say, okay, Mom, and you need to go do it. That is your job. Your job description in life is not to get to the next level in the video game. Let's just try to challenge that particular belief. Your job in life is to be responsive to leadership. It's like the story in the Bible of Samuel. Do you remember Samuel when God called him? Samuel thought it was Eli. So he got up and he went into the other room. He understood how to come when called. He got up, went into the other room, and he said, yes, Eli, what do you want? You called me? You see, he had a responsiveness. Now, Eli knew that it wasn't that he didn't call him. It must be God. So eventually he says to Samuel, go back and lie down. And so Samuel does. And Eli had told him, when God says and calls your name this time, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Now, in that moment, the God of the universe began talking to a young boy and sharing with him all kinds of insights. You see, our children need to realize that their job description in life is not to play, have fun, enjoy, get what they want, and so on. Their job description in life is to learn how to follow instructions. If they will learn how to follow instructions, good things can happen, will change what they believe, and it'll help them to make some adjustments in their lives. So that's just one belief error that children have. But we're going to look for ways to experientially help our children change by practicing, by doing an illustration, showing them any way that we can to help them understand more about attitude. Now, I've shared some ideas about this attitude and some of the things I'm sharing in the blog post I just made at thrivingkidsconnection.com. So you want to check out that blog where we have some other things going on as well. You'll be able to check on the more recent blog posts. All of them are designed to help children change on a heart level. So this one idea about attitude may lead you into something else. The one we post about technology may be helpful, or another one about following instructions, or whatever. It may lead you to some of those other blog posts that will be really helpful for you. So if you get a chance, stop by Thriving Kids Connection, sign up for the blog, sign up for the free email parenting tips so you get them in your inbox regularly, and you'll learn more about these things like an attitude and how to respond to a child's attitude in a way that's heart-based, not just behavior-oriented. Respond with on a heart level, and we'll be able to address these attitudes in much more significant ways. It's all about the heart of a person, not just about what they do. So check us out. I'm Scott Taransky. This is the National Center for Biblical Parenting. And if you missed this video, check out the blog at thrivingkidsconnection.com, which is all about attitude and how attitude is bigger than something we can just overlook. We must address the attitude as well. Check it out, and it'll help you with some ideas as you work with your children of all ages, and maybe even yourself. God bless you, and have a great week in the Lord.